こんにちは皆さん、フィリピンからのクリスのチャンネルへようこそご覧いただきありがとうございます。For today's reaction video, I am watching a man burst into tears at the Peace Memorial Park. The video is from this channel. では早速始めましょう。
May I ask where are you from?
So I live in London in the UK.
When did you arrive Japan?
Just over 2 weeks ago.
Where did you go before?
So first, so I flew into Tokyo. I spent 7 days and then went to Hakone. Then I went to Kyoto and then came to Hiroshima. So this is my second day in Hiroshima.
Did you go to the museum?
Not yet. I'll go this afternoon.
Did you read something on the park?
Yes. And of course the dome. And
What is your impression?
I think the memorials here, I think, have been very, very nicely, very beautifully done, very thoughtful. But reading them, yes, it happened, before I was born, but I think we don't learn. Humans, we don't learn. There's still so many wars going on, Ukraine, Russia, what's happening in Israel and Palestine. We don't learn from our mistakes. It's still, the loss of life is still too great for sometimes things that you think there must be a way to try and resolve people's differences.
Yes.
But that's better than what we're doing.
True.
What did you learn about Hiroshima?
So right.
I guess only my history at school is quite potted bits and pieces because I moved around when I was a child. We lived in parts of Africa as well as the UK, so I didn't have a very chronological history learning. So I suppose I only know the very highlights, overview of World War One, World War Two, and then what's happened. More recently, I've watched the film Oppenheimer, which gave me more context.
You lived in Africa?
Yes. We first went when I was about 3.5 to Zambia, a couple of years, then back to England, then Libya for 18 months, then back to England, then back out to Zambia. My childhood is a bit nomadic.
What can we do for achieve peace? What do you think?
Probably have more women in government. Of course, a lot of men get killed in war, but when you hear sometimes so much of the violence and atrocity, so much of it is committed against women and children who are often just trying to, protect themselves and look after their family. And so many of these decisions about war and relations between countries and peoples is conducted by men. And I think that you're missing the perspective of half the population. I don't know, maybe we should at least try it more and see if it makes
It's her
a difference.
opinion.
What
It's
is
her
peace
opinion
for you?
anyway.
For me, I think peace for me should be people being able to go about their business safely and, without fear, but with courtesy. People shouldn't be able to just do whatever they feel like if it's, impeding someone else. But I think courtesy a lot more. In fact, being here in Japan, I think it's one of the things that has really struck me, that there's a lot more sense of common courtesy to other people. Being independent can be good, but you shouldn't behave in ways that are obstructive, that can hurt other people.
Thank you so much.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you so much
You're
for
very
your
welcome.
time. Where are you from?
Australia, from Melbourne, which is the very bottom south of Australia.
What is your occupation, or what do you do?
Working in film.
Tell me about more.
A student currently, but looking to work into the film industry, so film and TV.
When did you arrive Japan?
About a week and a half ago. So I've been Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, here.
So may I ask what brought you to Hiroshima?
Primarily, I wanted to see the museum, the dome. I have quite a personal interest in history. This was definitely something that I really wanted to take the time to come and see.
Have you been to the museum?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Did you read
No.
something on
No,
written
not yet.
over there or?
Yeah, I read some of
I
the
love his
signage,
accent.
and the man that's over there that was the in utero survivor. I read some of his booklets. But before coming here, I've always had a bit of an interest in it, especially in development of the atomic bomb.
What was the impression about reading and stuff? And
I find it, I mean, it's horrifying, but I also find it very fascinating and very interesting. But I kind of don't know how to explain how I feel about it, but I find just really that period of history to be very, very interesting. And I think it's very important that we don't forget any of it. And I think that a lot of people, especially kind of a lot of younger people my age, kind of neglectful to a lot of the history. Not necessarily ignorant, but don't necessarily have the understanding of kind of the impact of a lot of what's happened in the world. Not only here, but I think especially here, and kind of the fact that we're really still feeling a lot of the implications of that to this day.
What do you think like people exist to justify the bomb?
I'm sure there's someone that does. I don't understand how anyone could even remotely think it was justifiable.
What can we do for achieving a peace?
I would love to have the answer. I don't know. I think something that I find really interesting is that, especially during the Cold War, everyone was so constantly aware of the impact and just the existence of nuclear warfare threat that was such a presence in kind of everyday life. And it hasn't gone away at all, but it's not something people really think about or talk about. I think that's something that definitely sticks with me, is that kind of as time has progressed, we've kind of not really keeping this sort of thing in kind of the public space when it really probably should be. I think if more people were educated and if it was kind of made more aware to a lot of people, then I think there would be a lot more public input into the removal of a lot of nuclear warfare.
What is the peace for you?
What is peace for me? That's a very big question. I don't know. I think some sense of contempt is probably the most simple way I could put it. Just like being at ease. Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever globally achieve that, but it would be nice if we did.
Thank you so much.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Where are you from?
I'm from Mexico.
Oh, Mexico.
Yeah.
Bienvenido.
Sí, gracias.
Are you traveling?
Yeah.
When did you arrive Japan?
3 days ago.
Where did you go before?
We was in Tokyo.
And Hiroshima.
First Tokyo, Kyoto, and then here.
Why do you come to Hiroshima?
Well, the principal is for the atomic bomb. So that's the first reason, and we also want to know the city.
Did you went to the museum?
Yes.
What was the impression?
It was hard. I mean, it's like a feeling like, I don't know, something weird because we are too near to USA and they dropped the bomb. It's hard to believe somebody do something like that. I don't know. It's feel weird. I don't know.
What do you think people exist to justify this bomb?
I mean, it's just for the power. I mean, that's no reason to have weapons like that. I was watching in the museum how many weapons, bombs they have. It's like, why you want to have like 5,000? I mean, it's crazy.
What do you think, like, what can we do for achieve a peace?
I don't know. I mean, at the end, we are humans. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to think what we can do to have peace everywhere. I mean, everybody thinks it's like selfish. Like everybody thinks just in his country, his people.
Thank you so much
You're
for your
welcome.
opinion. Where are you from?
From Australia.
When did you arrive Japan?
About a week or so ago.
And will you go to the other places as well?
Yes, we're going to Osaka and Niseko after this, and went to Tokyo first.
What brought you to Hiroshima?
I wanted to learn about the history here and, see it for ourselves.
Did you learn something about Hiroshima in school?
Yes, we learned about the history of World War II, and we learned about facts of what happened in some of the battles and with the atomic bombings, but have definitely learned a lot more about the details being here in Hiroshima.
Did you went to the museum?
Yes, we went yesterday.
What is the impression?
The impression is, I think, have been very taken with how the history of Hiroshima has been told, in that the overarching message is very clear that there's a very innate desire for worldwide peace and a disarmament of nuclear weapons worldwide. Well, I've been very impressed with how that has been the core message taken away, that no more Hiroshimas, never again, but never forget. Whereas I think the level of destruction and intense suffering that occurred could very easily have manifested in quite a lot of anger and desire for retribution. But it's been very inspiring to see how the people of Hiroshima have told the story very honestly and haven't shied away from the truth and the truth of the context of the war, and have, really tried to honour the victims through telling the kind of unabridged truth of what happened, so that other people can learn from it and not make the same mistakes.
What was the most impressed exhibition? Did you remember something?
I think the whole museum was laid out very well in how it took you along, like the first image being of the panoramic view of Hiroshima before the bomb, and then it has the timestamp of 8:15 on the 6th of August, and then almost a mirroring panoramic view of then the destruction afterwards, and then it leads you into the truth of the experience of the people that experienced the bombing, and then it gives you time to actually sit with their stories, and it's telling the story of the people, and then it goes into information about nuclear weapons worldwide, and it really puts in that context of the threat that is still existing in the world today, in the context of the story of the people that actually experienced it, rather than just facts on paper.
What can we do for achieve a peace? What do you think after seeing all those things?
Yeah, it's a good question, and probably one that I've been pondering myself in. It does feel like a very big challenge to kind of just want to go knock on the door of all the people in power and be stop it and don't make the same mistakes. I think what Hiroshima looks like it's trying to achieve through its museums and its memorials and the promenade of peace and everything, in having peace at the core of the message and the people at the core of the message, I think is really important, because I think it can be easy to forget, and that's often an experience that doesn't translate, at least from my experience, into the history books of kids in other countries. There's the facts and the figures and everything, but the actual tangible experience of the people experiencing it doesn't often translate through, this number of people passed away, this was the kilometres of destruction and things. I think telling the stories of those people and some of the victim testimonies, and just hearing how they speak about it, some of the facts that they say is spoken about very offhandedly, because it's not even the true horror of what happened, it's just a passing statement of this other thing that happened, but that in and of itself is so horrifying. So I think keeping the people at the heart of the conversation and the tangible impact that it has on every individual that felt it, and for generations to come, the intergenerational trauma of it all as well, is really important, and to personify rather than dehumanize. So I think what Hiroshima is doing in bringing the people to the forefront of that conversation is really important, and something that I think should definitely be continued.
Thank you so much for your opinion.
No,
and
pleasure.
time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. May I ask, where are you from?
I'm from America, from Los Angeles.
Are you traveling?
Yes, I'm here on a 2-week vacation with my fiance, and we're spending 4 days in Kyoto, a few days here in Hiroshima, and a week in Tokyo.
What do you do in Hiroshima?
At Hiroshima, we wanted to see the memorial, and we also wanted to just see the city and, just do normal sort of dining and sightseeing in Hiroshima, and then also spend some time at the memorial.
Did you learn something about memorials and histories, people are coming to Hiroshima?
Yes, we haven't been in the museum yet. We're going to go in the museum in a few minutes, but I know about the history of World War II a bit and the atomic bombs. I think being here, there's just a lot that I may have learned in classes or in textbooks, but really feel.
Did you read the written stuff around the book?
We read about the cenotaph, which we saw, and then and the children's piece.
Maybe it's a sensitive question, but may I ask what did you feel and what did you think?
Just kidding. 1 minute. I mean, I just felt the scale of the devastation, and also reading about the children's Peace Memorial reminded me that because it was a nuclear bomb, there was radiation, and sometimes people who may have survived the bomb, didn't escape the effects. And then also just thinking about, it being a children's memorial, just how many completely innocent people, were caught up in the tragedy of both the bombs, the 2 nuclear bombs, but also just the war, the entire war, and, all wars.
What is a peace for you?
What is peace for me? I don't know exactly. I mean, peace for me is, the absence of violence and war. And I think it's, not always easy to achieve because I think it requires a lot. It requires, in difficult circumstances, it requires trust and, making an effort to understand like different perspectives, and sometimes like a certain selflessness. And I think that's sometimes obviously very hard to achieve at the scale of like nations that are trying to achieve their aims. But I also think it's something that just like, people can try to practice every day in smaller ways.
What can we do for peace, or what the top people can do for peace?
I don't have an easy answer for that. Sometimes I think we need different ways of choosing the top people.
The leaders.
But I think one thing that sometimes happens with leaders or other people who are in the position of making decisions about war and peace is it feels much safer to act on fear. Sometimes it can even be helpful for leaders in their own aims to leverage the fear that people in their countries might be feeling. And I think those are, bad things.
Thank you so much for sharing. Maybe it was really hard for you, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the video. I'm a subscriber of your channel. This was really touching. Hiroshima and Nagasaki are the places I would like to visit in Japan and to see the museum myself. The last interview, I understand how he feels. He hasn't been to the museum yet, but he already burst into tears. How much more after the visit? One big question is, what can you do to achieve peace? I think for me, we need to listen more and understand more about people's differences. Just listen and be more open-minded. Well, this was a great video. Thank you so much to the uploader. I'm a subscriber of your channel. And to all my viewers, 一緒に見てくれてありがとう。皆さん、気をつけて。またね。